One of the primary reasons many care providers say that they're hesitant to support a woman in trying for a VBAC is that they are concerned that the woman will have a uterine rupture as they try for that VBAC. But according to a report in the journal Obstetrics and Gynecology, if you had a previous cesarean with a low transverse incision, which is the most common type of incision, your risk of uterine rupture when trying for a VBAC is less than 1%. And the specific rate of uterine rupture as you try for a VBAC is actually 0.47%. So really, really low. However, this risk, it does go up if you have had a prior uterine rupture or you have a classical cesarean scar or an inverted T-shaped scar. So a classical scar is a vertical scar that goes from just below your belly button to the top of the bikini line. And an inverted T scar, it's much more rare. This kind of scar involves a low transverse incision in addition to the classical incision that goes from the belly button down to the bikini line. So it looks like an inverted T. Again, that's a pretty rare type of C-section scar to have. Something else that increases the risk of uterine rupture is being induced. So if you're being given Pitocin, the risk of rupture is about 1.1%. If you're given prostaglandins, that goes up to about 2%. And if you were given misoprostol, which is a really intense way to induce, you have a 6% risk of uterine rupture. So ideally, we really avoid induction if you're trying for a VBAC. In addition, if you've had a vaginal birth before, you have a lower risk of rupture. So for example, if your first birth was a vaginal birth, then you had a C-section and now you're trying for another vaginal birth, you have a lower risk of rupture. You also, can wait. Ideally, you wait more than 24 months before giving birth again. That reduces your chances of a uterine rupture. So you'd want to wait at least 14 months. Many people recommend waiting 18 months before getting pregnant again after having a C-section. And during birth, signs that a uterine rupture might occur include the woman having low blood pressure or a high heart rate, having blood in the urine or excessive vaginal bleeding, or the baby really suddenly stopping their downward progress. And if a woman does have a uterine rupture, her chance of needing a hysterectomy, which means that the uterus needs to be surgically removed, it ranges from 14 to 33%. Again, if a woman has that uterine rupture. And something important to note about a lot of studies about uterine rupture is that sometimes a phenomenon called uterine dehiscence is thrown in there with the term uterine rupture, but they're two different things. So a uterine rupture is a complete division of all three layers of the uterus, while uterine dehiscence is just a partial rupture. So the scar doesn't open up entirely. There's still a thin layer of tissue connecting the uterus to itself. So it's not nearly as dangerous as a full uterine rupture. And it's also important to note that the chance of having placenta accreta is associated with having repeat C-sections. And placenta accreta consists of some or all of the placenta invading the uterine wall and becoming inseparable from it. And this is really dangerous. And it has, a maternal death rate of 7% because it can cause hemorrhaging and might require the mom to have a blood transfusion or a hysterectomy. And the risk of this happening goes up with each C-section a mother has. So I hope, these statistics shared in this video and the last one equip you with a lot of helpful evidence-based information that supports you in advocating for your VBAC.